Hello everyone, welcome to the Year of the Dead Horse. Why is it the Year of the Dead Horse? Well, because no modern metal bands are putting out anything that is worthy, we are just looking to the old guard to put out anything this year that will give us any semblance of metal with teeth, metal with passion, anything that will seem like an actual record that has any substance to it. We have gotten some new singles from At the Gates, which are pretty fucking terrible. We have gotten in the same day a new single from Darkthrone and a new single from Mayhem. We got a new single from Fear Factory, of all bands, who I haven't even listened to that one yet. I'll admit I can get down with Soul of a New Machine and Demanufacture. I like the Terminator, but I think there probably should have been only 2 Terminator movies, and there probably should have only been 2 Fear Factory records. But I digress on that. Before we get into the subjects for today, which are going to be the new Darkthrone and the new Mayhem song, I wanted to talk about the format of the channel, which I am most likely going to have to change. What I like to do, as you know if you have seen this channel, is I like to have the projector showcase a YouTube video showing the progressions in the songs that I'm analyzing, because people need to be shown what's going on. You can't just hear it and expect people to kind of catch on to what's going on. It helps to show it, and because I have little to no editing prowess, I am not a technically adept person. It was my easiest workaround to get around any kind of copyright issues, but my videos are now getting flagged for copyright content. And this is never going to be a monetized channel. I don't care about that. But I do care about the videos being able to be seen, and currently some of them are being blocked. So I have to come up with a new way to show you guys what's going on. If you have any hints at all, to let me know how I can show you what is happening in some of these songs, aside from learning them on guitar and showing them to you myself, which I can do, but I don't know if I have a whole lot of time in the world for that, but I would like to still give the visual representation of some of the stuff that's going on in the writing. So if you have any hints, let me know. So either YouTube is getting a little bit better with their algorithm on how to sense when their material is being utilized, or I'm getting reported by people that are unhappy that I'm showing them that their bands that they love are fucking terrible, and I'm getting the copyright claim from that. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. I did listen to the new Darkthrone single, all 10 minutes of it, and holy fuck, these guys. What I get from modern Darkthrone is just a couple of guys that like to drink and play riffs that sound like metal at this point. They are done. Creatively, in terms of having passion, it is over. I mean, it really sounds like it's just guys like trying to string something together and being like, hey, remember how power chords used to sound? How about how Celtic Frost used to sound? How about how doomy passages used to sound? And they come up with a couple of riffs that are catchy, and they just throw them together without any kind of transition, without any kind of flow, and they call it a song, and then they do that a few more times and call it an album. And I did like some of the iterations of Darkthrone. I did like when they kind of went through the punky phase, but it seems to me that they've evolved in a way where they want to resonate with the hardcore hipster type that is wearing their patches. It's really odd because, if Darkthrone has had many phases, but it seems like all of the phases that hardcore kids go through, they have adapted their music accordingly to the point where right now they are just putting out music that sounds fun to drink to. That's all it is. It's music that has a little bit of edge, and they have a little bit of a sense of occultish imagery in their lyrics, a little bit of like pagan imagery, and they throw that around with some really haphazard riffs that are either going to have some kind of sense of doom or some kind of sense of groove, and in between that, throughout the course of this 10-minute song especially, they don't exhaust the song by having it have only like 2 or 3 parts, thankfully. But the parts that they do have, they just completely stop, let the guitar ring out, go into the next phrase, and there's no cohesion at all. So it's coming from the mind of someone that is just fucking burnt out, someone that's totally like 2 sheets to the wind drunk and just being like, here's a fucking riff, bro, what do you got? That's what I get from this new Darkthrone stuff. I mean, if you're going to have your arrangement be totally compromised by a lack of any kind of foresight, any kind of plan for your song, let alone your record, your riffs have to be fucking top-notch in order to maintain any kind of attention span, or you have to have a vibe that is carried throughout the song. And they do kind of have that a little bit, but it's mainly rooted in the production. The production is the best thing about the song, because it feels like a band. It's a warts and all, sounds like one mic in a room. It's clipping. You can hear that the speakers are farting out on you, but it sounds like a band, and that's welcoming at this point. I'll take a shitty sounding recording any day right now, because any kid in their bedroom can give you the most polished shit in the world. It's brain dead easy to do that now. So it's actually hard to get a warts and all record to sound authentic, and the sound of it doesn't sound like they recorded something pristine and put it with a Necro plugin or anything. It sounds like guys that were just like excited about a song they put together and then decided to record it, and it sounds like garbage because they did it themselves. And that's way better than manufactured sounding like garbage, which like Ordo Ab Cow did on that Mayhem record. But anyway, that Darkthrone song, it is a slog to listen to. There's the riffs that make up the song, which, as I mentioned before, are not tied together in any way, are subpar at best. They really are just, man, I don't know if this is how it is outside of where I live, but every city that I've played a show in, the local bands kind of sound the same, where they sound like that kind of super burnt out, I don't know, Hesher metal. I feel like every city has it, like the kind of shit that Beavis and Butthead would do air guitar to. That's what I'm getting out of this Darkthrone material. It's vaguely metal, vaguely rock, vaguely stoner, all wrapped together with, vaguely pagan-esque type of lyrics to give you what resembles a metal package, but there is no foresight at all, and I imagine that's how the rest of the record sounds. And I didn't even hear the last Darkthrone record before it. I heard I think a song, and I could just tell they were burnt. They're done. As for the Mayhem track, this is another band that is really trying hard to capitalize on their former sound and their former vibe. I know they lost a lot of people with like the techie stuff that they did in their middle periods, but this new stuff, it really is just, it's less about capturing the passion and it's more about capturing the recipe. And what's going on with this song is you hear that classic minor chord that will tell you it's black metal, and it's moving around chromatically, and you do get those classic vocals that make you remember that you're listening to Mayhem. But it really feels, up until the end, it really feels like it's just throwing stuff at a wall that sounds like Mayhem. It sounds like a Mayhem cover band until the end. And then the end sounds like there's a bit of passion to it. I did like the atmosphere of the end of the song, but going from the build-up of the entire first half to that final bit, there's no transition at all. It's just a complete mood change. It's a complete vibe change. Nothing really ties the composition together. And it's black metal. It's primal black metal. They're not trying to have that kind of mental acuity where they're going in and trying to give you a really well thought out thing. It's trying to capture that primalness that is missing in a lot of modern metal. And I'll give them credit for that, but it just does not feel very inspired until the end. I will give the record a listen when it comes out. I give all these classic bands a listen, but yeah, this is one of those years where, because we were starved of all of the things we loved, we're going to be clinging to things that resemble the stuff that we loved. And everything that we're getting is a manufactured version of the stuff that we've loved. And these two songs, I wish I could show you what's happening in them. Like I said, I'm dealing with these issues through YouTube. But the stuff that we're getting now, it's really going to be kind of kowtowing to what the audience hopes the bands will sound like. And, it happened with Morbid Angel with their last record. They got there was such an outcry for what they tried to do with that terrible, like, industrial sounding record. And they tried to dial up the aggression. Metallica did the same thing. And people argue, like, which is the sellout record? Is it the one where they decided to jump genres and, like, put out an industrial record? Or is it the one where they feebly tried to give you a record that sounded like the band in its original state? And I understand that argument, I think I'm going to side with the former. If you don't have that passion in you to continue on the path that you were on in your band's infancy, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot trying to recreate it. And that's what we're getting with a lot of these modern records by once great bands. I'm sure that the records are going to be serviceable. I'm sure that we're going to hear them on the whole and not feel like we've been betrayed, and that's one thing that metal fans are always listening for, is that sense of betrayal. Oh, they're not part of us anymore. They don't represent our mentality anymore. Now they're off in the pop realm or whatever. I don't think we're going to get that from the bands that are still doing this. Like that At the Gates single, for as terrible as it is going to please people that just want some really basic melodic, vaguely Swedish sounding death metal. I don't even know why I call it death metal. I don't know what the fuck it is, but either way, it's one of those things where if we set the bar lower to the point where this is what we're looking for, it's going to really hurt the progression of the genre. And we've talked about the genre being dead, metal being dead. Is that true? Most likely. And I don't know how it can expand upon the things that made it great at this point. Everything that has gone too far outside of the box has kind of turned its back on the passion of the genre. A lot of what went into both the mind and the heart of what the genre represented is no longer there. And people that are going to be hoisting that progressive metal flag really don't know what progression is, and they confuse it for having an odd time signature here or there and having dexterous guitar work. That's not progressive music. And is there room for progressive music in metal? Sure. But I think that sense of melodic exploration that we saw in the mid to late 90s, which made a lot of metal purists unhappy, I think that kind of melodic exploration is kind of dead. I don't really see a lot of newer artists really expanding upon their melodic tendencies. They might be able to cram more notes in their phrase. They might be able to have it be faster or more dexterous, but they aren't giving us a really well thought out melody. It's all going to be, if you look at the roots of the melodies that they're structuring, it's all going to be the same basic progressions that you've heard a million times over. And I think that is where metal can progress, but the old guard is not going to be giving that to us, and we shouldn't expect them to. At this point in their careers, they know that any kind of exploration is just going to get them less listeners, less support, and there's no doubt that they're in it to make money at this point. But I didn't go into these songs expecting much. I got about what I expected, and I assume that whatever records come out later, if we do get a new Carcass record, it's going to be the Dead Horse again. And the last Carcass material that I heard really just resembled, people were like, oh, this is better than Heartwork, this is better than whatever. It's a combination of all of their phases. It wasn't. It was Swan Song with blast beats, and I don't know how people didn't hear that, but either way,
we're looking to these once passionate individuals, these trailblazers, and we're hoping for that next step. But as discussed in other videos on this channel, that passion is really just lightning in a bottle. And if anyone churns out records of the old guard that we're hoping that will have substance, we really are the best we can hope for. The best we can hope for is a well thought out riff or two per song. That's the best we could hope for. We're not going to get anything more. That's why like the most recent Cannibal Corpse record that came out this year is serviceable, because the riffs are decent. That's it. The songs are haphazard. They're not trying to make any kind of poetic statement. It's fucking Cannibal Corpse. But there is thought put into the actual riffs that represent or that make up the songs. There's no thought to any of these riffs. There's one riff in the new Darkthrone song where it's like a plodding mid-paced rhythm that they throw this like triplet into, and it kind of makes it feel a little bit disjointed, and it echoes some of the exploratory nature of their first records, but it's a very distant echo compared to what these musicians are capable of. I just don't know if this is the result of years of drug and alcohol abuse where you just shit out something where you're like, yeah, that's good enough, or if the passion has been driven more towards the half-baked punk scene. I don't know. I don't know what's making these guys make these really half-baked riffs, half-baked songs, half-baked albums. I would never feel, if I was a trailblazer, I would not put out a record of really shitty half-baked riffs, half-baked songs, half-baked whatever. I would be going over that shit with a fine-tooth comb. Even if I had that fan base established where it was like, I'm getting a guaranteed, profit from whatever I'm doing, I just couldn't put my name on something that I didn't feel represented the best that I could be at any given time. And this material just feels like, it's not our best, it's not our worst, but it's something. Here you go. And that's just not good enough. It shouldn't be good enough for anybody. It shouldn't be good enough in any genre, and it especially shouldn't be good enough in the metal genre, and it especially shouldn't be good enough for bands that are this important. But that's where we're at. So until we find a way to try to reignite that torch or recapture that youthful vigor that goes into artistic statements or well thought out records mentally, this is what we're going to be getting, and we just have to scan it for a decent riff here or there, because that's all we're going to get. So thanks for listening, and once again, if you can come up with any ways where I can showcase this material and be able to show you without getting those copyright claims, let me know. All right, thanks for listening.